Hey guys, it's Shara from Woodshop Diaries, and in this video we're going to be building a fun project that you can make with just 2 boards and a dowel rod. This definitely isn't the biggest or the fanciest project I've ever shared with you guys, but it may very well be the most practical. So if you're ready to dive in and build a vertical shoe shelf organizer, let's go. This video was sponsored by my friends at Dwil. So first, let's talk about materials. These are not the glasses I intended to wear today. You can build this out of 2 1x12 by 8 foot long boards and a poplar dowel rod. Full disclosure, 1x12s are usually not the best quality, so be prepared for some imperfections.
Bubby, get off the board. Please get off the board. Thank you.
Perspective is everything, and I just keep reminding myself that I'm just building a shoe shelf to go in my parents' garage, so a little imperfection on these boards is fine. From my 1x12 boards, I cut one piece to 48 inches long for the back, one piece to 47¼ inches long for the middle, and one piece about 24 inches long for the bottom. After sanding all 3 pieces well, I began assembling them together. First, I laid the back piece on the workbench and drew a center line from top to bottom. Then I applied wood glue along this line and centered the middle piece on it. This piece will be flush along the top edge, but 3/4 inch inset from the bottom. I clamped the boards in place, then flipped it on its side and used a scrap block to help me kind of keep it in position. I marked the center along the back side so that I knew where to drill and used a countersink bit to pre-drill a few holes. Funny story though, these holes were wrong. Okay, so this one's fine. And for the other 4, when I measured, for whatever reason, instead of marking 5 3/8, I marked 5 5/8. So all of my holes are not lined up with the actual board. So I have to re-drill my holes. Please ignore these holes. They are incorrect. So after remarking the correct locations, I drilled correct countersunk holes and secured the boards together. Then I centered the bottom piece on these boards, clamped and attached it with screws through the back panel. And also with screws through the bottom. This gave me the main body of the shelf. Now it's time for the individual shelves. I cut these 5 shelves to 11¼ inches long so that they were square. There would be enough wood to cut 6 shelves from the remaining 1x12s, but I only cut 5. This project is easily customizable to suit your own needs, so if you wanted to cut 6, go for it. On 2 of the shelves, I wanted to cut out some slots so that I could hang boots upside down. I wasn't really sure what size to cut these, so I grabbed a boot to test it out on. I figured the slots needed to be about 2 3/4 inches wide, so I made 2 marks on my board about 1½ inches from the end and 3½ inches from each edge. I found that a small stain can seemed to be about the right diameter, so I used it to mark a half circle at each mark. Then I drew straight lines down the board to mark the slots. I used a jigsaw to carefully cut these out. Then, before cutting a second one, I made sure that it fit. Thankfully, it seemed to fit okay, but you may want to adjust your slot width depending on the types of boots that you've got. Then I cut a second shelf just like this one. Then I sanded these and the other 3 normal solid shelves well. Before painting, I drilled pocket holes into the ends of the 5 shelves. For the solid ones, I just drilled 2 pocket holes, but for the slotted ones, I drilled 3, making sure to place them on each side of the slots. Now my pieces were cut and sanded, and I was ready to paint them. Because this pine wood can be a little splotchy, I applied a coat of primer first. For this project, I used Dwil Furniture paint. One of my favorite parts of this paint is that it comes as a whole kit with all the accessories that you need for any paint project. A roll of masking film, a foam roller and frame, gloves, tape, a brush, and sandpaper. Plus the paint, of course. One of my other favorite features is that Dwil offers this wood furniture paint in 5-ounce, 16-ounce, and 32-ounce containers. If you've ever built and painted or refinished something small, you know how annoying it is to have to buy and store a whole quart or even a gallon of paint when all you need is a fraction of that for your project. So these 5-ounce and 16-ounce options are a game changer. It's water-based for easy cleanup and low odor application. It dries quickly, covers really well, and comes in over 25 premixed colors. If you want something custom, they also offer a kit with colorants to make your own shade. For this project, I used 2 coats of blue-gray on the main body of the shelf and 2 coats of black on the individual shelves. Check out the link in the description to learn more about Dwil and use my code to get 30% off. Once the paint was dry, I was ready to move on with assembly. I installed the solid shelves on one side about 8 inches apart. I'm actually building this for my parents because the pile of shoes by the steps in their garage is out of control. So these solid shelves here will be for my mom's sneakers and tennis shoes. This didn't really assemble very square because of the material that I was using. I don't know if you can see, there's a gap down here at the bottom, like there's a gap right here. To help pull this square before attaching in the center, I drove a screw through the back side on this first shelf to close the gap. Then I secured these to the center board using pocket hole screws through the holes that I drilled earlier. Then I installed the slotted shelves on the other side that will be for my dad's work boots. I installed the top one about 3 inches down from the top of the back panel, then I installed the second one about 16 inches below that, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure how far to space these, and I think this might have been a little too far, but it'll be fine. Once all the shelves were secured to the center, I stood it up and used a square to make sure that each shelf was straight and not slanted. Then I added a screw through the back. For the final part, I took my dowel rod and trimmed it down to 2 16-inch long and 2 12-inch long pieces. Of course, this can be customized a million ways, but in addition to the shelves, I added these posts to the bottom so that mom and dad can store their rain boots on them upside down. I marked about 6 inches in from the end of the bottom and spaced these about 5 inches apart. Then I used some 2.5-inch wood screws to secure the 2 taller posts to the right side for dad's taller rain boots, and I secured the shorter post on the left side for mom's shorter rain boots. This gives mom room for 4 pair of shoes and boots total on the left, and dad has room for 3 pair of boots and shoes on the right. And with that, this super simple shoe shelf is finished and ready to use. This is a great way to store and organize shoes if you don't have a lot of floor space, and this could definitely be made taller and with more shelves to store as many pair as you need. If you'd like to build your own, grab the plans linked in the video description. I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little build, and I hope you'll stick around for more projects to come soon. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and until next time, happy building!